So you've played Surviving Mars and now you want to expand your experience by buying DLC, specifically Green Planet. This DLC will give you the ability to grow lush forests next to the otherwise barren desert environment. But does it bring anything else to the table? Let me be clear, if you plan to expand your already made colonies, I've got bad news for you. It only works on saves that are made after downloading the DLC. That has to do with the research tree, which is also renewed. It now shows terraforming next to biotech, and instead of 6 trees, you will now have 7. It will give you new buildings, new challenges, and even vehicles. Now, if you want to fully explore this DLC yourself, which is part of the fun, I suggest you turn off the video now, since I will be discussing the contents. If you don't care, however, or just want to know what this DLC is all about before purchasing it, then by all means, let's start. If you play on hard or very hard, with all kinds of challenges or events along the way, you cannot really unlock this until you've won the game, so to say. That's my experience at least. And that's great news. We've all had that moment in this game where our challenge is pretty much over. And now we're swimming in money and research. No metal or part is hard enough to get and the colony is all tidied up. In my playthroughs, that would be the moment where I'd start a new game. With the addition of this DLC, that means I've got something to play for after that, because the terraforming tree won't give you any special wonderful problem solvers, it will mostly be just fun. The only building that will be of benefit is the open farm, which is this huge farm on the outside of domes. The whole benefit with this building is the fact that the drones will do all the work, so no population is needed. It will take up a pretty big spot on the map though, so there's not really much of a benefit. Back to the basics. We've got 4 new stats at the top. That would be atmosphere, temperature, water, and vegetation. You will notice that with this new building called the forestation plant, in order to grow plants and trees, you will need a certain number on these very same stats. Only the very first does not require any, but will require seeds. These will have a max range too, so you will need to build them all over. Now, seeds can be made in the regular farms in domes or imported from Earth. Of course, there would be a significant price to importing them from Earth, so you will need to have your food supply sorted before producing seeds yourself. Once you've acquired enough temperature, vegetation, and water, you will be able to produce trees. Mostly due to the new buildings called the Carbonate Processor, which will give you 0.6 atmosphere per soul in exchange for waste rock, the Magnetic Field Generator, which will give you 0.3 per soul and some research, but also the GHG Factory, which will consume fuel for temperature. Finally, you will also be able to build the Core Heat Convector, which consumes water and power for a temperature increase of 0.4 per soul. Once liquid water is unlocked due to the increase in conditions, you can make lakes yourself, which will be fueled by freshwater income. This means you will need a big supply of water to sustain it. The water will in turn help improve soil quality, which will help grow vegetation. You will also unlock the research for nuking the polar caps, which will help a lot, or capturing ice asteroids, and even dropping seeds. All these planetary events will help, but you won't see any of it. You will only send rockets to the expeditions. Terraforming requires moving mountains and rock. Luckily, the drones won't have to do it all alone. With this DLC, you will gain the RC Dozer, which will speed things up significantly and carries waste rock with it. Now that's a handy addition. Now once you have gained enough percentages on the stats above, you will no longer need the airtight domes. And you will get the choice to open every dome, which will signify the end of this DLC. They will close if anything happens to your breathable air. Of course, you will also gain access to the huge non-dome called the Capital City, which will have 3 spots for spires. But once the atmosphere or temperature declines due to the loss of energy or disaster struck, it won't be closing up like the original domes will. So everyone in Capital City will die. And with that, I will end this video with On Sale, it's a gem. A steal indeed. Each penny spent, a thrill to heed. But shell out $20 for this DLC spree. Regret might linger, it's my decree.